Major Yuri Gagarin, hero of the Soviet Union, first man to fly in space, and who today has come straight from lunch at Buckingham Palace to a small room at the Soviet Trade Fair at Earl's Court to answer questions from three people. From Tom Margerison, the science editor of the Sunday Times, from my professional colleague Yuri Gagarin, commentator of the Soviet television service, and to some degree from myself. If I may put now the first question, I think it's a very obvious one. I should perhaps explain that the questions are being interpreted by Boris Belitsky of Moscow Radio, whose interpreting throughout this week has been a subject of great admiration in this country. We will now put him to the test once again. The first question is this, Major Gagarin, a simple one. How did you get on at Buckingham Palace today, and what were your impressions?
And the reception at Buckingham Palace went very well. The conversation was very lively and relaxed. Her Majesty the Queen received us very well. Prince Philip also received us very well. And we had such a good, relaxing, very lively conversation.
How was the food?
I liked it very much.
Splendid. You did not translate. Very good, I hope that means.
Exactly.
Could I now, just before we get on to perhaps more scientific matters, which I think my colleague Margerison probably wants to get on to, just take you back a moment into younger days. Did you start life by being trained as a foundryman, or did you start by intending to be an airman and then go to foundry work afterwards?
Well, if I may say so, then yes, of course I began my life in the ranks of the working class.
Yes, I was a worker at first. I worked in a foundry for 6 years.
Studied at a vocational school, then studied at a technical school, and after that as a steelmaker. Well, as a further development, I became an astronaut.
And your family and you lived right in the path of the Nazi invasion of Russia. Did they manage to escape completely?
Yes, our family was in territory temporarily occupied by the Nazis during the invasion of Hitler's hordes on homeland.
And it was only later?
Well, in March of 1943, our troops...
The Soviet army liberated this part of the country, and our life returned to normal.
Then, in those early days, when he finally, after being in the foundry, joined the Soviet Air Force, how much actual flying of ordinary aircraft had you done before you ever turned to space?
I've been involved in flying ever since I started flying, starting with the Flying Club in 1955.
I still do a bit of flying, and I haven't given it up yet.
I fly airplanes these days, too.
Which is easier to do, to fly an airplane or a spaceship?
The specifics of flying airplanes and spacecraft are somewhat different, but I think it's a little easier on airplanes.
Did you fly the Viscount the other day, or did you just sit at the controls?
Yes, not knowing the plane, of course. I only just tried flying it for
a short period of time. Besides, I don't really design or the mechanics of this airplane, and the instruments, the scales are completely different from ours. And that makes it difficult, of course, for someone unfamiliar with it to pilot.
Major Gagarin, how long is it since you started to train as a cosmonaut?
Well, quite a lot of time has passed since I began training for space flight. And as you can see, the training was not without success. It yielded results. During this time, I was able to prepare for space flight and fly quite successfully.
And how many other astronauts were in training with you?
For this particular flight, only a small group of space pilots underwent training, but in general, we are training a large contingent of space pilots in the Soviet Union.
Was this training a very rigorous one from the physical point of view? I mean, in matter of food, drink, physical exercise, and so on?
Yes, it was a pretty intense time, yes, and actually if you're talking about being a cosmonaut, you have to limit yourself not only in things like drinking alcohol, smoking, and so on.
Since it is a complicated course of training,
You have to prepare for this very seriously, as it's a very serious undertaking and requires a heightened level of performance and overall physical fitness.
Is this training, as far as you're concerned, still going on? That is to say, supposing that you are going to undertake at some time another space flight, have you in the meanwhile to go on with the former training, or are you now quite free?
Yes, my training continues today. I try to stay in shape required of a cosmonaut.
but of course there are certain difficulties.
It's not always possible to maintain the routine and daily schedule required of a cosmonaut.
Especially when traveling abroad. I am unable to keep to the tight schedule, which I should be keeping to.
But I don't think I've had any major disruptions. I'm on schedule.
And I think I will be in good form when I'm next called upon.
Excuse me, Richard, I'd like to put a question. Perhaps I'll speak on less important matters. But I'd like that perhaps English audience would be interested in what are Yuri Gagarin's hobbies?
But that's a very broad question, I'd say. If I were to list everything I love and am passionate about, I think it would
Take up too much of your time on these things.
Well, in particular, I love reading, listening to music, going to the theater, ballet, and drama. I love playing sports and always enjoy playing with my 2 daughters.
Can you say what you were doing on the night before the flight? How did you spend these last few hours?
Well, it's hard for me to say how I spent those hours before the flight, of course, since I don't remember anything about it because I was sleeping so soundly.
Were you upset at all by the news of the 2 dogs that failed to come back in a previous spacecraft?
Well, I suppose such things happen and are possible, especially since it happened while the spacecraft systems were being tested.
It would be far worse if the systems had not been developed properly in this way and a human space pilot had lost his life.
And in this connection I have a question. What did you think when the rockets start flying?
When the rockets start flying?
Yeah. Well, you see, it was hard to think about such abstract topics. Basically, I had to carry out the spaceflight program. The program was very complex and intense, and of course, all my thoughts and all my efforts were directed toward fulfilling this program as best and as completely as possible.
Could I test your interpreter a moment? We have a saying here when you're nervous about something that you have butterflies in the stomach or butterflies in the tummy. Can you really honestly say that you did not have any butterflies in the tummy before you started?
But I don't think I can assure you of that.
Your American astronaut colleague spent an unfortunate 3 or 4 hours in his spaceship before he started off. Did you have a comparable wait before the takeoff?
Will you repeat the latter part of the question, please?
Did you have a comparable wait sitting in the spacecraft waiting for the thing to take off?
My actual stay in the spacecraft cabin was comparable to Shepard's time in the Mercury cabin.
There was no need for me to spend several hours in the spaceship Vostok before the takeoff.
It was a relatively short period of time during which, in my opinion, I behaved completely calmly and wasn't nervous, something our scientists can confirm from the objective data they obtained. Moreover, there was absolutely no reason to worry or be nervous during this time, just as there was throughout the entire spaceflight.
You were saying a moment ago, objective records, scientists' objective records, makes me think of something. When are we going to see the color film, which everybody here is most anxiously waiting to see?
You see, it's hard for me to say when you'll see this film since that doesn't depend on me. I can only say that this film has already been released in the Soviet Union and it is being shown in our cinemas.
With great success, I should add.
It is?
Yes.
Will you, when you get back home, say, please, we'd like to see it here as quickly as possible?
Okay, I'll pass it on.
If we could talk just for a moment about the spacecraft itself. Was the cabin on view at the Tushino air show, the one up there on the wall just behind you, was that the actual Vostok?
They didn't show the cabin at the air parade, they showed the entire spacecraft. Well, I'm not sure whether it was the same one or a different model of the spacecraft.
Could you give us some idea what it's like being in this spaceship, how much room you have in it?
Yes, the cabin of the spacecraft is very spacious, much more spacious than the cabin of an airplane.
While we're talking about the ship in flight, there's one small mystery which I think possibly you may be able to clear up for us, but perhaps not, but I'd like to try. On the day when you were making the flight, on the day when Moscow Radio was describing you making the flight, there appeared in our communist newspaper, the Daily Worker, the report that the flight had been made successfully and that the flyer had returned to the Earth. And that report was dated from Moscow the day before. I'm sorry to put this at such length, but this created the impression, of course, that another flight had taken place and you had flown second, and nobody has ever dispelled this yet. Will you do it now?
I can tell you with complete authority that this newspaper, of course,
That evidently the correspondent of that paper felt he was better informed than the actual people who are in charge of this work in the Soviet Union.
May I have a question?
such a space flight had never been attempted before, not only in the Soviet Union.
Or in any other country.
Thank you.
The flight that took place on April 12 was the first in the Soviet Union, and in fact it was the first flight with a man on board a spacecraft in the history of all mankind.
The
And I have a
flight
question.
made
Thank you. Yuri, you want to ask?
Yes. What impressed you most in England, and what is your final message to the British public?
Yes, our stay in London and England is already drawing to a close. We saw England very well. We were we saw the cities of England, very good cities, the capital of England, London, a very good city in England, one of the industrial, most developed cities with industry.
Manchester.
And everywhere we were greeted by a great many people. This is, as a rule, where we go and where we appear. Meetings with the people of England.
It was, in fact, an overwhelming welcome.
Thank you.
And everywhere we are greeted with such open smiles, with a warm heart.
This has been very pleasant for all of us, of course.
In general, the people of England very warmly, very kindly welcome us, the envoys of the Soviet Union.
Can I?
And before leaving this country,
I would like to wish the English people very good, great success in their working.
we would like to wish them happiness.
And I would like to wish very good, also great success in solving the problem that, in my opinion, currently occupies the minds of the entire population. These are the problems of maintaining peace throughout the world.
In my capacity as chairman, I want to ask one last question and ask for a very quick answer to it. What are you taking home to Mrs. Gagarin?
I don't understand.
Do you mean literally?
As a present.
Well, I'm bringing some toys for the kids and some souvenirs from my wife. I want to keep it a secret for now because I'm afraid you'll
Broadcast this.
tell my wife before I do, and I want to surprise her myself.
We quite understand. We wouldn't dream of doing it. May I say, Major Gagarin, that we know what a tremendously strenuous week you've had. We know how very tired you in fact are. We are most grateful to you for coming to answer our questions today, and I'm quite sure that when you go back to Soviet Russia tomorrow, you will take the good wishes of the whole of the British people with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.